Evening, guys. Welcome to Football with Brownie. Hope you're well, keeping safe, keeping each other safe, and spreading love during this pandemic because we all need a little bit of loving, guys. We all need a little bit of loving. Before we go any further, please check the ticker below. Football with Brownie, please like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. We are well on our way to 1,000 subscribers now, so I can't wait. We must be having we'll have a giveaway. I'll do a giveaway, a Swansea and Cardiff giveaway the moment we hit that 1,000 mark. Also on Facebook, Football Brownie is my Twitter handle there, and Instagram. Tonight it gives me great pleasure to have a chat with the first former Swansea and Cardiff player to come on the channel. It is none other than the former Flying Horseman. You need to be old enough to remember that nickname. Flying Horseman, John Williams. John, many thanks for coming on. Much appreciated.
Thanks for inviting me, Brownie. Good evening, everyone.
And John, I love looking at your history, your football and career history, and I love the kind of stories in which it comes from a non-league right up to the Premier League. I love those kind of stories, So, tell us about your schoolboys in football. Obviously, then the Flying Horseman kind of nickname, and Cradley, which is the first club you played for.
Yeah. Well, as I said, all began early beginnings of my inner city upbringing in a lovely place in Birmingham called Handsworth. I've always played football from an early age, and like how kids of today have got PlayStations and all the electronic stuff. All we had was a football, jumpers for goalposts, and very competitive because everybody was the best of the best. So back then, the scouting network was never as it is now. When you're looking at footballers today and young players, I don't think. Before, when I was at school, it was very rare to have any young players within that structure or within a building of a football club because, it was very, very unheard of. The only one in my area that we actually knew of was Tony Daly, and he was supposed to be, like a big star. He grew up in, a couple of miles down the road from where I grew up. And he was the biggest name, him and Mark Walters around the Midlands at the time. When I was very young, scouting network now that I think there's about, every school you go to, there's one kid who's been in a football academy, or there's several that are still in it. But in my time, it was not like that. So I had to come a completely different route. I started off at a team called Newton Albion. That's, I like to class as my first love, the club that taught me all my good values. We had some, we produced a lot of professional players. I'm going to name, just a couple, and there's a few managers as well. There was Mickey Brown, Carlton Palmer, Wayne Faraday, Keith Downing, Jonathan Narbert, Neil Tomlinson. All these players, we produced from very young. I myself. We was a feeder club to Shrewsbury Town, and we were called Newton Albion. Carlton was, one of the many sort of big names. Our mentor was called Harry Maney, who passed away a few years, and he was still a massive mentor to myself and to Carlton and a few other lads. Even when I was playing at Swansea, or as you'd like to say, the other team, I used to go and visit Harry on a Wednesday.
I'm glad you said that.
A bit of fish and chips with him and his wife May, and as I said, I've got a lot. I'm very thankful for how he sort of steered me in the right direction, because I said the lifestyle that I was in could have gone the other way, but he showed us how to be courteous, respectful, respect your elders, and conduct yourself in the proper manner as a human being. And at his funeral, I said Carlton turned up, and there was quite a lot of people there, because he instilled all these values in a lot of us. But as I got to 18, I went to a team. Are you still there, Brownie? Yeah, you're back now. Yeah, I played for, my mate was having a trial for a team over by Ashton University, where West Brom train. And what happened was, a very close friend of mine called Keith Shaw told me about a trial of a team that was having a game over in Walsall Road near the West Brom training ground.
Okay.
I wasn't interested in football. I suffered a massive loss of my parents' death, and I was very much a quiet, insular, never really spoke, just still a bit of a messed up kid because losing my parents when I was about 14, I just sort of went into myself. Then I was sat there, and this bloke, his name was Steve Daniels, which I later found out his name. He came over to me, and he had a very broad black country accent, big sheepskin coat, and soft woods and gold like Big Ron. But the funny thing about that, it was the middle of summer. And he had a very broad black country accent. I mean, I know I've got a Birmingham accent, but his accent was, extreme black country. And he said to me, "Oh, can you play?" I said, "Oh, I used to." I said, "I've not played for a while." He said, "Well, have you got any boots?" So my mate said, "Yeah, there's some boots in the car." So I've gone down now. I've gone on the pitch and showed him, what I could do. Before the game was over, he's come over with a blue piece of paper. He says, "Oh, can you sign this?" I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "Oh, it's a contract." So after one game, he says, "You're a player. You're a very good player. I'll give you 25 quid a week, £25 for man of the match, and £25 appearance." And all I was thinking in my head is, "Oh, there's 75 quid."
Yeah.
I'm scooping the lot. So I've gone and signed the contract, and the rest is history, so to speak. I met John Ford, Andy McFarlane, Alan Nichols, God rest his soul. We had some very, very talented boys. Keith Shaw, who was a Forest as a kid. Not many people know who he was. Very, very good friend of mine. And we all played for Cradley Town, and we absolutely destroyed some teams who were like, well, above the level that we were playing at. It was like a bunch of freaks were formed together and destroyed those with reputations. We beat the West Midlands Police. Not many people will be worried about that, but we hammered them 5-1, and they were meant to be one of the best teams in non-league teams in England at the time.
Yeah, I actually remember. I don't know, maybe because I grew up in Merthyr Tydfil.
Yeah. I've been there for the Gurnos.
Yeah, that's right.
A friend of mine invited me to his christening and his wedding. Jason Bowen, another Swansea.
I know. I used to pop up with his brother Ricky.
I know his brother Ricky very well. And his old man. They're lovely people. He invited me up to the Gurnos, and let's just say I've not been back since.
It's great.
Say no more.
But when you're on about West Midlands Police, I don't know, their name always used to crop up like in the FA Trophy and all that.
Very good team.
Yeah. I don't know why, but it was always, when you're looking at the draw, that name would always come up to you.
So this was, as I said, we played them and absolutely annihilated them. And then, a team that was absolutely nowhere, just like a phoenix, just rose from the ashes, We sold a player in 6-7 months, Andy McFarlane, for 10 grand to Portsmouth. Frank Burrows bought him.
I remember him.
Then we sold Alan Nichols to Cheltenham, who was a very, very talented goalkeeper, who was sort of taken away too early from us. God rest his soul, he died now. Peter Shilton took him under his wing. He became an England under-21 goalkeeper, and very talented boy, but he had his demons. But I'll not ever speak ill of the dead, but one of the best goalkeepers I've ever played with from non-league, and I'll still say this to this day. I used to call him the brick wall, because once anyone got beyond our defence, they're still not getting past Nico. He was fantastic. It came about, we played Swansea in pre-season, and we absolutely we gave them a good going over. I think the game ended 3-2. I'm not sure whether it was to us or to them. And the coach was, wouldn't leave with all the players and the staff. Frank Boris was so impressed with, what he saw. He said he weren't leaving until he spoke to me and John Ford, and the negotiator, I like to call it, with the sheepskin and the big gory Steve Daniels, by the way. He said, look, this man, he just won't leave. He just wants to know if you're willing to go up to Scotland on a pre-season tour, so that they could have another look at you close up and see if you're willing to sign. I mean, I was 22, 23 at the time, and I was like, is this a joke? I'm like, I'm a postman. I just want to just do my job and play part-time football, and I'm just a humble guy from a humble background. So me and Fordy, he was a very close friend of mine. We had a little conflab. We discussed it, and he said, "Look, what have we got to lose?" I said, "Well, I'll lose my job if I don't. If it just doesn't pull up, and they find out I've been up on trial for a football club." He says, "Well, you know what? We should just take the chance." So we went up to Scotland. And the rest, as you say, is history. And that was my transition from non-league all the way to professionalism.
So looking back, Frank Bowes would because he was also Cardiff manager, in his time as well.
Twice.
I always liked that kind of old school kind of controlling manager, if you know what I mean, John. Because I do find that it gives youngsters a better chance. Young up-and-coming professionals a better chance if you've got that kind of Alex Ferguson type of mentality within the coach. In
hard but fair. Yeah, hard but fair.
Exactly.
There's not a lot of them now because as I said, there's so many different lines of management to go through before you get to a certain place, and I look at Wayne Rooney's rise to stardom. It's very rare that sort of thing happens in these days. A 16-year-old lad going into the first team, absolutely smashing it and doing the business, and becoming one of the greatest players, in the country, or as I said, globally. Yeah. Because it's all this different structure. Oh, you got to go through this, then you got to go to the 18s, then you got to go to the 23s. If you're, the way I see it, if you're big enough, you're strong enough, and you're good enough, you should be playing men's football. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Very hypocritical.
I'm just wondering, John, because you actually, when you went to Swansea that year, you actually smashed it. Let's be honest, you smashed it, and then all of a sudden, which you never heard much of now, all of a sudden, I think you were in the third division, wasn't it? I think with Swansea.
Yeah, League One, the equivalent to League One. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the Premier League team is looking after you, and looking at you. Yeah, you don't even see that. It's very rare now that a Premier League team would look at Championship players, never mind the tier below.
It's true. The fact is, as I said, I just came out of non-league. I played with, there were some big teams in that division at the time. There was Birmingham City, there was West Brom, there was Preston. And there was some, Brentford were in that league. There were some big teams, and we sort of. I think I ended up top goal scorer that season, and I played sort of 39 games out of 46. Tottenham were interested in me at one stage, so I found out later on from the chairman, Doug Sharp. He tried to ask for too much money, and the damage that I caused and sort of inflicted on Bobby Gould at West Brom to sort of get him the sack. I think that was sealed the move when he went to Coventry, and I was one of the players on his list, and I was very grateful, that I was going back to the Midlands, but my heart is in South Wales, and in all fairness, Brownie, I tell you the truth.
I know, but no problem.
I cried my eyes out when I left because the journey was, I felt it wasn't fulfilled. It wasn't over for me. I loved it there. The fans embraced me and were very passionate. They told you what they thought of you, and if you weren't doing it, they'll get on you. And as I said, some of the derbies, oh my God, they were massive.
I know. It. About 190. Did you play for one in 91? Was it at
91, 92? Yeah. We played you in the FA Cup. We played Cardiff in the Aston with you. Sorry, because we played Cardiff in the FA Cup, and I think Mark Harris scored and Jimmy Gilligan or something like that. We beat you 2-1, but that was something else. I mean, how did you pull that out of the bag? Swansea versus Cardiff.
I know. I know.
It's crazy, but yeah, it was. As I said, I think I've played in quite a few of the derbies, and
well, especially
being on both sides
as well. Especially in Midlands. There's so many teams in Midlands. There'd be a number of derbies in which you would have played as well. But there's something special about the South Wales derby.
As I said, to me, it's the most intimidating. It's the best derby I've ever played, and I've been privileged and I hold my hand up and honoured to play on both sides. It was something special. I look back at the memories and. As I said, the time at Swansea, the time at Cardiff, the rivalry, the passion, the fans. As I said, I do hold that place dear in my heart, and I go down every month and spend a little time down there. My daughter's, lives in Swansea. She lives in Coventry.
Okay.
I've got my granddaughter lives there as well, so I go down and visit as much as possible. And I've still got a lot of friends in both Cardiff, and I still got friends in Swansea. So.
And in Merthyr.
Definitely in Merthyr. Yeah.
So Bobby Gould took you to Coventry.
Yeah.
Not many, the younger generations now, John, would look at Coventry and just look at a lower, unfortunately, lower league team. But Coventry back then were a very tricky Premier League team. Very, banana skin.
They're very much like a Wimbledon, very much like a team that very underrated, an underdog. But the history of the club and what they've achieved for such a small club, and if you look at their longevity within the Premier League, I think probably Everton and teams like that.
I think I'm right in saying, and I've been to a time they did get relegated. I think only Coventry and Everton were the two teams who have been in the top tier of English football the longest.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm sure that was a statistic. But one of them was, I was looking back on former results. He beat Liverpool 5-1.
I played them again. We destroyed them. We beat them. We destroyed them.
And the other one was, the memorable one, was I think it may have been an opening game of the season one year where Mickey Quinn scored. Yeah.
The chicken dance. Hey, you can't stop mentioning that old Queen. He mentions that little dance every time he's on Talk Sports.
So who ate most of the pies? Was it Mick Quinn or was it anyone?
No, not most of them. He ate all of them. All of them. None of any pies left. He ate a lot.
That team was a. You are right. It did. As an outsider looking in, it did have that kind of Wimbledon mentality as well. Many underrated players. The likes of Mick Quinn, grabbing the opportunity, and yourself obviously grabbing the opportunity when you could at the highest level.
As you said, it's not to say that you saw that, Brownie, but we did have some talented players within that team. Who went on to bigger and better things. We had a defender that we sold to Liverpool. We had Peter Unlove, who was
Phil Babb, was it? Phil Babb.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. We had Peter Unlove, who top talent. He was, as I said, just playing in the same side as him. He could do things with the ball that I couldn't even dream of doing. Roy Weatherly, most laid back man, most talented, player that I've actually played with and seen him day in, day out and what the things that he could do. He was absolutely brilliant. He used to stay after training. He's always, very laid back, very relaxed. We'll all be rushing and I'll be driving in because I'm late or thinking I'm late. I'll be looking at the motorway doing 60, 70 mile an hour or a little bit faster, but I can't say that for legal reasons, you know what I mean? He'll be doing 40 mile an hour drinking his coffee. It's just...
Well, Roy Wegley, I remember Roy Wegley at his Luton days.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he was the first American professional footballer in the top tier.
Yeah,
I think so.
John Hart. John Hart.
Yeah, I think he was
one of the Sheffield Wednesday, the right back.
Oh, you may be right there, actually.
It was him and Wednesday were the first two. Yeah.
Okay, maybe number two, then. He may be number two, but he. Yeah, I did like Roy Wegley as well, because he went at QPR as well. But he did have his more successful spell, I think, at Coventry. And obviously,
and Blackburn. He won the Premier League title. Blackburn. Yeah. Wegley was, as I said, unbelievable skill. He was very mercurial. He was a scorer of good goals rather than a good goal scorer, but he was fantastic, man. Great pro. Very good player. Lee Hurst, who was a very good friend of mine, unfortunately he fell off the wall in the pre-season and snapped his cruciate, and that sort of finished his career. When we went to an army camp with Bobby Gould, he fell into the sand and he twisted as he landed and never played again.
Were you playing in that David Boost game at Man United?
Yeah, I think I played in that.
Because that was awful.
Oh no, sorry. The actual match I was on about. I thought he was on about the testimonial. No, I had left by that time.
Right, okay.
I was at Wickham at that time, but
right, okay.
As I said, I still speak to David Booth now. I speak to Steve Morgan and Lee Jenkins, who were from that team that I was in. Yeah. Really good, close friend of mine. Really good bunch of lads, down to earth and honest, genuine.
So did your time at Coventry then, John? It was that was when it was some random event happening where everyone would select a player from a team or the fastest player in a team. How did you have the name of the fastest player in the league? I think at one point, John. How did that go along?
This was just before I did go to Coventry, and I was still at Swansea at the time. And Frank Burrows says to me, "Right, there's no question. You're the fastest thing I've ever seen. You can catch pigeons. Just go and win the race and bring on the money." And the first heats are in Portsmouth. So just go down there and get your expenses. And I think you got a television from Rumbelows, and you got about 150 quid. That was a bit more like half my wages. That was but it was I went there and I won, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought, this will probably peter out or it won't continue. So I've gone back now, and Frank said to me, "Well done. I heard you was impressive, and I was really pleased that you won. And you got the final now at Wembley. Just go, no one can catch you. Just go and win it." So it was quite a long time, and I think we played Darlington, and I was getting loads of messages and phone calls from the organisers and producers from the Saints and Greavesy, and it sort of became a massive thing at the time. And I was I didn't really think much of it, and some of the lads were proper taking it serious. And then when they said it was £10,000 to be won, I never thought I was going to win. I didn't even care. I just thought, you know what? It's a day at Wembley to watch Man United and against Notts Forest. I want to watch the match. So we played up at Darlington on the Saturday. I scored. We drew 1-1. And then as I'm on the coach, Frank Boris says, good luck at Wembley and all that. I said, yeah. Okay, thanks, Gaffer. He says, you better win, because if you don't win, don't be coming back to Swansea. And I went, okay. And then he pulled 40 to one side, held him, put the nut on him and said, if you get him drunk, you'll have me to deal with. So, and it was 40's birthday on the actual day. Right. So we've gone down to the Hilton in Watford, Brownie, and we sat there now, and they put free meal. We've got steak and chips after we come down from Darlington. Had our steak and chips. So we sat there now and got there pretty late. And then the bloke said, you were talking to a free bar. Fordy's eyes just went, boom. What did you say? So let's just say a few beers and a few bottles later, worse for wear. Woke up in the morning in the bath, before they turned the bath on, the shower, cold, and jumped up, shouting, we're gonna go, you're late. So going down in the lift for the first heat. Who do I see in the lift? Keith Curle and his wife. Let's not forget, Keith Curle played for Man City, and Man United were home down the day in a hotel. So a little scuffle kicked off with, some of the Man United fans because he scored on against them in the derby, I think, in the week, and he was giving them the fingers and all the rest of it. And let's just say he wanted to make a quick exit, so he, I think, he raced and lost, so he could go home early doors. He left, and I think I just sort of ran to qualify. As I said, after feeling the worst for wear. So in the final now, I think this is what's weird as well. The final was on. All these lads, all taking it seriously, going down on their haunches like they're Usain Bolt and Maurice Green and Linford Christie. I thought, if I go down there, there's no way I'm getting back up. No chance. So the gun goes off. They're off. I've stepped backwards because I was preoccupied watching someone down the line, and they weren't even looking at the ball. And I thought, that kid is a player. He's keeping the ball. You know what it was? It was Ryan Giggs.
Was it?
Yeah, keeping the ball up. I'm not even looking at the ball. I thought, I wish I could learn that. Well, the race has gone on there, and I thought, boom, we're off. I thought to myself, oh my God, I've given them a little bit of an head start. I thought to myself, if I catch them on halfway, because I get quicker as I go on, because I've got these long strides. So I've caught them on halfway. I thought, yes, I've got you now. And like some of them were like little power men. Kevin Bartlett was a red hot favourite, and I just started pulling away from him, and got away, got to the line, and I thought, oh my God, I've just won, and I'll give you the arms at the end. £10,000, Brownie, and I thought, oh my God. And, John McCrory came over to me, and Steve Cram, and done his little commentary and stuff, and like I said, it was just really weird. It just felt, I'm a professional footballer, and I've gone to run at Wembley to win £10,000, and I thought, you know what, that was the best 23 seconds of work I've ever done in my
life. Brilliant. What story. Yeah, no, because you are right, back in those days, you didn't have Sky or anything, and when it was on St. and Greaves, that, it was sometimes I feel that these days you can get too much football,
Yeah. There wasn't enough football back then, though, was it really?
No, not
if you look at the pundits that were in the studio, there's Jack Charlton, Gary Lineker, there was quite a lot of, big stars in that studio who, as I said, who have gone on to bigger and better things. And now, as I said, it's just privatised. Money. It's just different.
Yeah, sometimes not having a lot of it actually makes it more special, I think. So going throughout your Coventry years, you ended up going on loan a couple of times, and then ended up in Wickham.
Yeah.
Well, who did get promoted? You got promoted, and you done a. Why Wickham, John? Because you were on loan to a few clubs beforehand.
I went on loan to Stoke with Lou Macari. Went on Stoke to Notts County with Russell Slade, and then I went back to Swansea with Frank. And again, we played Cardiff in a derby. It was a midweek game, Brownie. It was the hailstones were about that thick, pelting down. We beat them 4-1. But I'll never forget it. I made a goal, and I think I scored one. We beat them 4-1. I was only there for a month just to get some games because Bobby Gould, he quit, he resigned, and the manager who was there wasn't very keen on me. So I didn't want to sit and watch everybody else play. So I thought, I just want to go and play some football. So I went out to the Division 1, which was Championship, and played for Stoke, which I didn't really get much game time because Lou Macari had some really good players like Paul Pescicilido, a good striker. They had some really good players there. They had what's a little fella called? Oh God. He played for Chelsea up front as well. He was at Stoke.
Oh, geez, no,
So again?
Dixon, Dixon, wasn't it?
No. He's a little. He was at Stoke, and his brother also played for Luton. Oh, his brother was Brian something. He's only little striker. I can't remember his name anyway.
No worries.
Yeah,
not as good as you anyway, John. But never mind. Go on.
Better be. Yeah. So yeah. It came about. Big Ron said to me, like, I want to keep you, but I'm going to be bringing in some big stars, so you'll just be a squad player, John. So he was very honest and upfront, and I said, look, I just want to play football. I said, I don't want to sit and watch everybody else play. He said, like, a couple of teams have come in for you, but I'm not going to sell you to a team in this division in case you come back to haunt me. He said, named a couple of lower league teams, and I just thought, you know what? You offer me a 1-year deal, it just shows you don't really want me here. So, I need a bit of security, and I'm a local lad. So I just thought, what happens. I was out of contract, so I just went to Wickham. Wickham paid money for me. I think they paid 150 grand or whatever. I went there, signed a deal. I wasn't sort of over enthused to go there, but the manager and the assistant manager were really, really top blokes. David Kemp and Alan Smith, who was at Crystal Palace, It took me a while to settle in. They obviously expected me to hit the ground running, but as I said, it was, a lot of the players are there from the conference. There's some decent, talented players there. Mickey Bell, who played for Bristol City, he was one of the top players that I thought were decent. Dave Farrell. Miguel de Souza was my strike partner, who was, very underrated, but I thought he was a fantastic player. He'd scored 20 goals a season, all types of goals, scruffy goals, worldy goals. He'll run past the whole team and smash it in. Very old-fashioned striker who had the ability to, score every single type of goal. As I said to you before, he wasn't just a scorer of good goals, he was also a good goal scorer. He'd sniff a goal out, you don't score 20 goals a season. But if you speak to Mr. De Souza now, he'd say, I'm just an average player. I said, average player don't score 20 goals a season, mate.
Yeah.
So that's it now. So I went there, didn't have the best of times, and story of my life. Manager who signs me, boom, gets the sack. New manager comes in, doesn't fancy me, doesn't want me there. So I had, I think, 2 years left on my contract, and paid me up. I wasn't really keen on him either, but I just left. Went to Hereford. Graham Turner, what a fantastic manager, what a fantastic bloke. But the damage was already done before I got there. Hereford got relegated. He wanted me to stay, but I just thought, you know what? I love the taste of league football. I don't want to go in the conference. I was only sort of 3 or 4 years into my career, and I said no. So I went on trial to Warsaw, which I met some top lads. I met Mark Blake, who was at Leicester and Villa. Andy Watson, who was at Swansea with me, a great bloke. Chris Marsh, Tomo, I met him. Adi Vivash. There's some, the goalkeeper, Jimmy Walker, some top players.
Jimmy Walker.
This is what was funny, Brownie. When I got there, the manager was someone who they found in a bowling alley. He used to manage a bowling alley in Tamworth, and he used to be a footballer. His name was Jan Sorensen. What a bloke, what a character. He come in with a fag and a pint at training. and we got there for about half an hour. He said, well, piss off now, go home, it's finished. So he said, okay, yeah. So I played against this team. I scored 5 goals in this game against a team who came over. And he said, I'll give you another month. I went, no, you won't. I said, thanks for having me. All the best. I said, I need security. I said, I've got mortgage and bills to pay. I can't live off a month's contract. So I went off and went and played for Exeter, for Noel Blake and Peter Fox. So I was with Blakey at Stoke. And what a top bloke he was. And, what a unbelievable professional, and what a thinker. He's into all this psychology, and he's got his degrees, and I think he's one of the first black coaches to have his A license.
Okay.
And he was, as I said, he went on and he went to England, and he's like one of my heroes, one of my mentors. Him and Cyril, God rest your soul.
Yeah.
They were the pioneers for me that opened the door for lads like myself to walk through and sort of get a career.
Yeah.
So basically, they took the abuse so that I only had it watered down. But, I know.
In fact, you're on about that, John. That era, let's just say. I was talking to Terry Phelan. As a few weeks ago, and because he was in the team with the '88 FA Cup final against Liverpool, it was Lloyd Cunningham actually on the bench.
Yeah,
and
I
I live in Spain, and unfortunately he lost his life over here. But we had a chat about Lloyd Cunningham, and obviously from the same era, the West Brom era and so on.
Yeah. So it was bad for them, and as I said, the 3 degrees at that time in the team at Albion with Big Ron being the manager was, I grew up literally down the road. It was wow, this is fantastic. But not to sort of go off kilter. I just really sort of enjoyed my whole experience and my whole time when I was at Wickham. But as I said, I just weren't feeling it. But when I went to Exeter with Blakey and that, went there, they had Steve Flack, who was an ex-Cardiff player who didn't do too good at Cardiff, but he was a bit of an Exeter legend, lovely bloke. Darren Robotham, he was like a seasoned pro, and he's a Welsh lad as well. He scored a few goals, and they got contracts. But guess who made all their goals? The person who made the contract that they got.
You're rolling off some of these names, right? And because I couldn't go to many away games back in the 90s, but some of these names are coming up to me from playing like Championship Manager in 1993 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bottom, you're all right, and sorry, John.
After that, I sort of left Exeter, and I was at home, and I was just contemplating what my moves were. Made a few phone calls, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, out of the blue, I heard a familiar voice on the end of the phone. And Frank Burrow said, "Look, I ain't got any money, I ain't got any players, but I want you to come down here, and I want to see if you're still hungry." So I drove down to Cardiff straight away, no holding back.
Yeah.
I think I was probably 31, 1998, so I'd have been 30 years old. So I've gotten there now. And
when you had that phone call, did anything come back in your mind? You think, what if the fans don't? Does that enter a footballer's mind?
Yeah.
Or is it just a job?
I was a professional footballer. I knew I had, the love of the game. I knew I played for Swansea 2 times before that, and I've seen it go badly for a lot of players. But I know deep down in my heart, once given the opportunity and the manager put faith in me and shows me love, I'm going to give 110%, 100% if there's such a thing. Yeah. So I've gone down there now. And in all fairness, when I first got there, the fans didn't really take to me. Jack B and Scum and this, that and the other. And, I just thought, what, carry on. I'll show you what I can do. And then all of a sudden, my first game, I come off the bench. I think on YouTube there's a video of all my goals from Cardiff, me and Kevin Nugent in the season that we smashed it and got them promoted. There's a video on YouTube, John Williams and Kevin Nugent.
What I'll do just for you, John, don't tell YouTube, but I'll steal that, I'll find it, I'll steal that video and I'll upload it tomorrow just for you.
Yeah. Okay. So, put that on, and then the ball bounced. I was number 14. I come off the bench, and we were struggling for goals. It bounced, and I just smashed it in straight away. All of a sudden, I just couldn't stop scoring, Brownie. It was like something I've never experienced, because I used to always play on the wing, and create chances for everyone else. And playing up front with Kevin Nugent, he knew it was synchronised. He knew where I wanted the ball. He knew that I wanted it in front of me. He knew everything about it. And without him, I wouldn't have scored the amount of goals that I did. And it was a privilege to play with someone who, in fact, he's one of the best strikers I've ever played with. And that's, the unbelievable truth.
Yeah, Nugent.
Unbelievable. It might not be the quickest, but intelligence, ball hold-up play, aerial ability. He looks after you. He talks to you. He's a great mentor, great bloke. And I just felt at home. And when I became a cult figure, well, that's what I thought they called me, a cult. You like that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But it is true, though, John. It is true that, with a mindset like that, Jason Bowen was also loved at Cardiff. Andy Leg was another one. But if you...
Di Thomas!
Oh, I know Di Thomas very, very well.
Lovely bloke, Di. Lovely. He was Mr. Cardiff even when he was at Swansea.
Absolutely brilliant. But if you don't have that mentality, the Al-Shover mentality, you won't last long, to be honest.
No, you get eaten alive. I mean, I'll tell you a funny story, Brownie. This is how much I bought a house in Cardiff. I settled in Cardiff. I was only there for, I had a 2-year deal, but because we surpassed all expectations with such a small budget and got promoted in that first year, he brought the likes of Jason Bowen, Di Thomas, who were players who were a lot younger than I was. Yeah. And he said, look, you're my only sellable asset. I don't want you to leave, but I don't have a choice. My hands are tied. York have come in for you. They've offered us 50 grand, and you're a player I got for nothing, and it gets you off the wage bill. I said, why are you doing this to me again? You're breaking my heart. I found somewhere that I love, and I want to stay, and now I have to go. And I said, look, if you don't want me, I understand, I'll go. So I left, went to York, broke my heart, Brownie. But it's football, you can't hold sentiment because it's progression and it's, building foundations. The likes of Jason Bowen, the likes of Di Thomas, Andy Legg, all the ex-Swansea players that played for Cardiff and gave their all. I never want to turn around and say, if you cut me open, I'll bleed blue, because I'd be lying. I would never say that. Definitely. At the time I was playing for Cardiff, I love the club, I love the fans, I love the camaraderie, everything about the place. I felt part of the family, and that's what the Cardiff fans did to me, even to the point where, even when I went back and signed for Swansea, I came to a game and I come off the bench against Cardiff, I got standing ovation from both sets of fans. And you know what someone said to me? That's never happened in my lifetime.
No.
I was touched. I had the Cardiff fans saying Dudu Tala and the Swansea fans saying UJB, and I was like, what if I do the Tala? I'm going to get killed here because I'm there. If I appreciate the JB, what do I do? I had to be creosote. I had to sit on the fence. But as I said, for me, honestly and truthfully, it's a privilege and an honour to play for both clubs, and that was the truth. I achieved so much with both of them, and I enjoyed my whole time there, and that's why I'm still going down to both of them places every opportunity.
I mean, the thing is, I know the football is completely different now with the age of agents and so on. But to me, you can't just get rid of players like that anymore. Clubs can't get rid of players like that anymore. Because players hold so much power these days. I mean, if you're at the top or in the championship, and you've got lucrative contracts, and you are actually an asset, and you're on 20, 30, 40 grand a week. I mean, even you look at Danny Rose. What's he on when he was at Tottenham? Yeah. Micah Richards was at Villa for how long? 4 or 5 years, and he played probably 20, 30 games. Yeah. And he was probably commanding a big wage.
It's all right. He's in the media now. Nobody says anything about that. But I watch and I think, hold on, you've been at Villa for 4 or 5 years picking up wages and you've not even played.
Yeah.
And that's a different way of them doing it. You stop becoming an asset, so it frees you out. You stop playing.
Yeah.
Mika Richard, unbelievable ability, unbelievable talent, good defender. But you look at his games ratio in the time that he's playing football and his injuries.
Oh, I know. So many like that.
And that's modern. That's what modern day football does for you.
Yeah,
what they do is they don't freeze you. They don't use your player. They just freeze you out, and you're not heard of again. You're not spoken of. They reduce your status.
Yeah,
that's far worse.
I mean, with like family, obviously, as you get older throughout your career, family and everything is a key part then of your life and lifestyle. Looking back, John, when you're coming across managers who don't have you in their plans mentally, I guess supporters don't really think of a mental aspect or mental health aspect of such being frozen out can actually do to players and a family.
Well, as I said, it's different times now where all those things come into play. But as I said, a lot of the sort of ill treatment or, not everyone's going to love you. That's life.
Yeah.
You have to deal with it. But in the football world, it's even more harsh when, you've been signed in by the manager previously. You've done really well. You're a star and you get your legs chopped off because the man who comes in, you're not his type of player or he doesn't rate you.
Yeah.
So you just say, you know what? I'll go somewhere else where I want to play. And if you look at my record, my teams, it looks like the Premier League. I've got about 19 clubs that I played for because I wasn't sitting and watching everybody else play. I wanted to go out and play myself, and that's what I did.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, Jim.
I opened a football coaching school in Birmingham for young kids, for social inclusion, and it was with one of my very close friends from when I was growing up myself, from Birmingham, from the inner cities. His name's Graham Wilson, great bloke. He said to me, "Look, why don't you give a little bit of something back?"
So what I was trying to say with the difficult years as a teenager in which you had, it seems to be even after your football career, you seem to want to always give something back because you had it lucky and you took the right paths and hopefully helping others take the right paths then later on.
Yeah, that's the sort of person I am, Brownie. I've always wanted to help people less fortunate or people similar to myself who are very, not going to get opportunities, and you're sort of labelled, oh, you're from a bad area, so you're a bad kid, you're troubled, you're from the inner cities, or you're from a broken home, whatever you want to say. It's some of the kids that I did coach, just to see the joys on their faces, the happiness. It wasn't about saying, oh, you're going to become a superstar. It's social inclusion, letting them make friends, making them happy, letting them have something to look forward to. And I ran that for quite a long time, and it was very enjoyable. But, it came to the point where I just got, I just had enough. So then I started working in the children's home. Really enjoyed doing that. Then I worked with kids 16 plus. I was a mentor for a lot of kids. And, to this day, some of them still follow me now. They're 30 and 31 and the same things like, oh, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have the life that I had. And that gives me so much joy knowing that I've given something back to someone who less fortunate than myself.
Well, as an adopted child, John, I just want to thank you for your work because even though I was adopted at a very young age, I know just the difficulties which having that in your mind, having rejection in your mind from a very young age. I know exactly how it is. Then again, I look at my parents. My mum got ginger hair. I'm Latino. My mum got you. My dad used to play prop for Newbridge, so it's a case of thank God I'm adopted. But never mind, that's another thing. But no, honestly, no, John. It you know, I was looking at your after football career, and it did bring back nice memories, and the way you spoke about it, and the way you spoke about putting smiles on the kids' faces who may not have smiled for years beforehand, and you know, it's really big thumbs up to you and much respect, even if you are a jack bastard. I'll be honest with you. Right. Hey, listen, John, can we we'll end it there.
Okay, Bob. No
Many
worries.
thanks. And you know what? You definitely put a smile on my face tonight. Much
Cheers,
appreciated.
Bernie, mate. Anytime, son.
And look forward to speaking to you soon.
Definitely. Take care, mate. See you later.
Bye bye. Bye bye.